transfer window is coming up, and Leeds United seem to have a little bit of a strategy that is beginning to emerge. At least that's what we're able to gather from the various rumours and leaks that have popped out so far. And it's all pointing in one direction that I personally think the fans very much won't like. So, in this video, I'm going to talk through why this summer is especially important, what the plan that Leeds United seem to be going forward with is, and ultimately whether that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, regardless of whether or not it will be popular. And to start with, I'm going to go through why this window is so important. And to do so, you need to look at the time that we came up to the Premier League under Marcelo Bielsa. Because in that first transfer window, we did a hell of a lot of business. We signed Koch, Llorente, Rodrigo, Rafinha, and a bunch of additional players that added a hell of a lot to the squad in our first season back in the Premier League, which we've done this time, which is fantastic. We finished, I believe, 9th that season, which was really, really good stuff. We're on route to being safe this season. The chances of us going down now are incredibly low. And we're looking at the summer ahead. And the second summer under Marcelo Bielsa in the Premier League was significantly more quiet. Specifically, we signed Junior Firpo, Dan James, and we made Jack Harrison a permanent transfer, which everyone looks at now and goes, well, we didn't really do enough, because we didn't. We ended that season in a lot of danger, and with Jesse Marsch having to take over and be dragged across the finish line by Rafinha, which isn't where we wanted to be. So this transfer window is going to be incredibly important, and it's not just from a being busy perspective, because any club owner can be busy, but it's from the perspective of getting the right moves done at the right times, which is where I think a lot of people's fear is. And I've had a look through all of the various rumoured moves and bits of interest that Leeds United have right now, and I'm starting to see a little bit of a pattern. So, in order, there's been a lot of conversation around Danilo Doki, who is a centre-back that is currently playing in the Bundesliga. There's been a lot of conversation around Ladislav Krejci, who is a centre-back at Wolves. A little bit about Santiago Bueno, who is also a centre-back at Wolves. Morita, who is a defensive midfielder, has also been a part of the conversation. There's been a little bit of chat around João Gomez as well, who is also a defensive midfielder. Now, if you have a look at the way that we did the transfer window last summer, we started by signing Biol and Bornau. Lucas Perry was fairly early as well. Gudmundsson also came fairly early, followed by the likes of Longstaff and Stack, then moving on to signing Noah Okafor, Calvert-Lewin, and Lucas Mecha. James Justin was towards the end of that list. There's a little bit of an order there that was picked up on by a few content creators, including myself, and it is that we started from the back and we worked our way forward. We made sure that we were defensively solid first, and eventually worked our way to the front lines to get some creative bits and bobs going. And the one big critique that people had after that transfer window was that we hadn't signed a number 10/right winger. There wasn't that creative spark in the front line. Yeah, sure, we had signed plenty of defensive players and we made sure that we were very, very solid at the back, but when it came to creating opportunities, we were in a little bit of a place of weakness. Having a look at the players that we've been linked with so far, it's starting to look like we'll focus on building from the back again. Because I've not heard a ton about attacking players that we are particularly linked with at the moment that aren't just the players that we were linked with before. I've seen a couple of people mentioning Harry Wilson, for example, but Harry Wilson likely isn't going to come to us anyway, and if he did, that would have been sort of discussed previously, and it just feels like rehashing of old news stories. There's nothing new and emerging in those frontline areas that is making me think that that's going to be one of the sort of main areas that we look at. And last time, it led to a lot of anger. Because before that half-time change at Manchester City, one of the problems that we were having was, yeah, okay, we were fine enough defensively sometimes. We were getting carved open at points, let's be completely clear about that. But when we had the ball, we weren't turning it into goals often enough. Calvert-Lewin wasn't firing on form. Noah Okafor wasn't quite with it. It wasn't, at that point, Brendan Aronson wasn't playing at the best that we've seen him this season so far. And things got a little bit spooky. Everyone was looking at the summer window and going, well, why don't we just do something? And then you have a look at January, And January is in theory where you fix the mistakes that were made in the summer, and we tried to be clear, but Facundo Buonanotte has done nothing. So you start to feel a little bit spooked. You start to go, so if we're going to be repeating that, then what's going on here? Why are we doing that? And to be fair, we do definitely need a centre-back, at least one, because at the moment we've got one spare centre-back, which is Sebastian Bornau, and the odds of Bornau sticking around next season get lower and lower the more he isn't playing football. In addition to that, we need at least one fullback because I severely doubt Sam Byram sticks around next season. But, and I'm going to go against the grain a bit here, there's a chance it could be fine as a strategy, again. Because if you have a look at it, it's not like we didn't try for players in those attacking areas earlier in the window, the likes of Igor Paixão, for example. We were after him for a long time before he eventually found his way going to Marseille. And he would have been one of our earlier signings, but again, that didn't quite work out, which is a little bit of a shame. But it's going to happen sometimes. In addition to that, there is a lot of talent left at the end of a transfer window. And at that point, talent is looking to make its move rather than early in the window where they're going, well, I can just wait and see who comes in for me. Which, to be fair, yeah, a lot of very, very good players will move in those early weeks, but it's a question of are those the players that we want? As we know, the 49ers run by a system of we've got a shortlist for each position that we're looking at, and if the first isn't available, we go to the second. And if we're in conversations with the third and then the first becomes available, sod it, you go back to number one because he's the player that you want. And it worked last time. Last time we got into a position where we built a squad that currently has us safe from relegation in the Premier League. A squad that has added the likes of Anton Stach, who is a player that is probably better than playing for Leeds United. Let's be honest, we know that ourselves. It sucks to say it because everyone's like, well, Leeds should be at the very, very top. We're not yet, but Stach is a player that if we were, would ideally be playing for us. Add on to that the fact that we got less work to do at the back this time out, which means that we'll spend less time on that. And we'll finally be able to put some of that focus into signing a number 9, into signing a right winger, a number 10, replacing anyone that does go out because we don't realistically know who that's going to be yet. There's conversation around Laji Ramazani going, around Jack Harrison finally going, taking his time, Joe Gelhardt going, but none of those are players that will strictly need to be replaced. Instead, it'll be someone like a Dan James in case he wants a move. Maybe a Brendan Aronson if we decide, well, we'll just move him on rather than keeping him as a spare part. Because as much as I love Brendan Aronson, odds are he's going to be spare next season if we get our recruitment right. So this video was more a warning than anything. That throughout the summer, a lot of people will potentially get really, really mad at the transfer strategy if we start from the back. But at the same time, it's to serve as a reminder to be a little bit patient. Take your time before you judge your transfer window after it's done, and then have your opinions. Because I think looking back now, last summer was fine. It was 8 out of 10. Would have been a 10 if we got a number 10. Ironic. And it's just a sort of suggestion to try not to let the moment catch you up too much. Be a little bit reflective and look at the wider picture, and I think we'll see that the recruitment team is pretty good at Leeds right now. And I think we'll do it pretty well in the summer too. And I'm hoping so, at the very least. And it will be better than that second Premier League summer last time out, where we just added 3 players that weren't necessarily Premier League quality at that point in time. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. It was a little bit rambly, but it was just a little pattern that I noticed. Thought I'd have a little bit of a chat about it. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe as well. That'd be lovely too. Hope you enjoyed. And I will see you all later. Toodaloo. I've got hiccups and I have done for a significant amount of this video because I ate a small pile of roast beef. Sorry if you noticed. Anyway, ta-ra.